Hello everyone, welcome to Light African Writing Studio. Today in the studio we have an amazing personality. She is the author of Betrayed in Millions and many other books. Her name is Osi Writer, and her story and her career has really impacted me so much, and we are so excited to have her live in the studio today. Today, we want to talk about the importance of storytelling or the power of storytelling in book writing. A lot of people have been asking this question over the years. Right now, our guest is going to give us more light of the importance or the power of storytelling in book writing. But before we dive into the question, I would like our guest to introduce herself personally.
Hello, I'm OC Writer. This is one of my amazing day being here live in Light Africa Writing Studio. I hope by the end of this lesson you learn one or two things in book writing.
Wow, wow. So without wasting more time, I'd like us to go into the first question. I think this question was asked 1 year ago. We have talked about this question in our in our interview past, and today we still have a lot of students asking this question. I think our last season with some students, this was one of their questions that give them tough time. One of the questions that give them tough time, sorry to say. So let's move and dive into the question. As an author, I would like you to tell us more. Why is storytelling so important in book writing?
As an author, I've noticed the best way to relate with your audience or readers is through storytelling.
Yeah.
Storytelling engages readers emotionally and intellectually, making the content more memorable and whether in fiction or non-fiction.
Wow. So that is without storytelling, people can actually not remember the book.
Yes,
They will just read the book and drop it and look for another book to read. So storytelling is one of the reason why people keep reading a book after reading chapter one. They want to read chapter two, they want to read chapter three, and finally they'll read the whole book. Storytelling is one of the reason why people read book, right?
yes.
Wow, that is an amazing lightning. So how does storytelling create emotional connection in book writing?
By portraying relatable experiences and emotions,
Okay.
stories help readers connect with the characters or messages on a deeper and personal level.
Okay. Like what I'm trying to understand is this. Without storytelling, the author and the character in the book and the readers, they cannot really connect well. It is true story that we get to meet they get to meet each other.
Yes,
Wow. Wow. That is an amazing one. I think um when I was working on a project 2022 titled Light, and my first published book, You Have All It Takes. One of the difficult moments I was having in that project was actually how to relate from my own experience to the experience of the characters on the characters in the book I was writing, and down to my readers, because actually you have to vision the readers from the beginning of the book. You have to think about the readers. You need to have the readers in mind before you start writing the book. If you don't have the readers in mind, you're definitely not going to communicate to them. So the story must first of all affect you, connect with you, connect with the characters in the book, then connect with the readers even before they read the book. I think this is one of the difficult part that people actually are missing when it comes to storytelling and book writing. But I trust that we'll gain more light before we end this section. So why are stories more memorable than fact?
narrative sticks because they provide context and emotional weight, making complex ideas easier to understand.
So when I narrate a story, it sticks to the life of the reader as an author. So if I'm writing a book, I had to talk about a story. Let's say John went to school. So actually, the reader may forget about the book,
The
but
main purpose.
the main purpose, but that particular fact that John went to school, the reader will always remember that particular fact that John went to school, because the story is a is more like I don't really know. Just give us more light.
It's also like the story. Like
Yes.
when you're writing a story and Make example. That examples always reflect on the reader.
Okay, on the reader. You reflect on the reader. So as I'm reading the book, I should see myself in the story.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. That makes storytelling more important
And
than
memorable.
memorable. Wow. Wow. So how does storytelling build suspense?
A strong narrative structure filled with conflict, curiosity, and unresolved questions. This makes the readers eager to find what happened next.
Wow. They want to read more. They want
Yes,
to
to know
read
the
more. You
ending,
know
what
the
will
ending, what
happen.
will happen in the ending, just like you at the introduction of your book. And this is actually very important. I think we are going to talk about this over and over again. When you're writing an introduction as a writer, the vision of the end part of the book should be from the introduction, because people want to read the book when they understand, when they are curious what is going to happen in the last part of the book. They are going to be curious. When I introduce my book to my leader, they are humans, the black and the white, the rich and the poor. He told me personally not to explain the book to him, that he wants to read the book. He was curious to know, why are they humans, the black and the white, the
The rich
rich and
and
the
the
poor.
poor.
He was curious because he wants to know, why are they humans. He literally asked me not to explain the book to him because he was waiting for the moment that we're going to read the book and gain more knowledge of the meaning they are human. So that is like a suspense, giving the reader a reason to read your book even before he or she start reading the book. So actually, storytelling gives, so it can suspend the reader. It can make the reader to open the next chapter, before you know, the person has finished the entire book. So that is very, very important. So how can storytelling review themes and messages?
Yeah. Instead of stating things outright, stories demonstrate them through characters and plot events, which makes it more impactful.
Okay, characters and plot
Events.
events. Wow, wow. So if I decide to bring out a character and an event in a book, it will be more, it will communicate
Yeah, more
more
impactful.
impactful to the right,
Readers.
to the readers, right? Wow, wow. So what makes storytelling useful in non-fiction? Like, to me, I'm a non-fiction writer. I have, let me say, I am majorly on non-fiction, 30% of fiction, 70% of non-fiction. So I want to really have more light about what makes storytelling useful in non-fiction.
It humanized abstract or technical topics using real life examples and anecdotes to qualify the personalized the subject matter.
You know, um, we have a lot of fiction writers who don't believe that non-fiction writers should have a lot of fiction work in their book, and that is really a problem. And we have a lot of non-fiction writers who don't really understand that to be a non-fiction writer, it doesn't really negate that you will not talk about a story in your book, because a lot of people are missing this out.
Yeah,
Yes, they are missing this out because I'm a non-fiction writer, I should not talk about the story. Actually, story is important in whatever you're communicating in life, be it fiction, be it non-fiction, whatever I want to communicate. In fact, when you start communicating story in a non-fiction book, you automatically win the heart of the
it
reader.
makes more
Yeah,
interesting.
it becomes like, it's like you're talking to the reader personally. I love the way Samademi used to talk about his book. Like, I've read his book over and over again, and how he normally talks about a book up to date. He will be bringing the fact that I want us to talk. Like, he's bringing the fact that this is what we are talking about. Bringing, he's making the story physical, like we are gisting. Okay, in this part I want us to talk about this thing. You're reading a book and the person is telling this part, I want to talk about this thing. Then from there it moves to a story. I watched one of his videos talking about the blue ocean strategy, the book, and to me the explanation of that book was not going to be impactful if he never start and end the blue ocean strategy with a story. And so every non-fiction writer over there, if you're writing a book, get this clearly, you need story to make your book or your message impactful to your readers. So how does storytelling help structures in book writing?
Stories follow a natural arc, beginning, middle, end, which gives
Natu-
a book,
a natural act
yes,
from the beginning
middle,
to the
and
middle
the
of the book
ending,
and the end of the book. Okay.
which gives books a clear and engaging flow,
Wow.
making them easier to navigate and follow.
While making them easier. Like it's very important from the beginning of the book to
Yes,
the middle of the book
even
to
to
the
the
ending of
ending.
the book. You give readers a pathway to follow. As they're reading the
Yes,
book, they have a track to follow. Actually, this is very amazing. Like storytelling is is very, 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 very important.
interesting.
Like it's interesting to me. I wish I'm a fiction writer. I wish I'm a fiction writer. Honestly, I wish I'm a fiction writer. But nevertheless, I love, I love, I love being a non-fiction writer so much. So I'm not regretting. I'm not regretting the fact that I'm a non-fiction writer. No, 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 no. I'm not getting the fact. So, but this is what people need to get at this point in time. Because I'm a non-fiction writer, does not really mean I can't write a fiction book. No, 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 no. I have found my niche. I've stick to my niche over the years, but I still have the license to write a non-fiction book. I still have the license to write a storybook, and I still have the license to bring more story to my book. So, to you watching, asking this question, as a non-fiction writer, do I need to write about stories, or do I need to bring more story to my fiction non-fiction book? Yes, you need to bring fiction work to non-fiction book, and you also need non-fiction work in a fiction book. It is very important you understand how to use this together. How can storytelling inspire reflection?
Yes, well told stories allow readers to see the world from different perspectives, encouraging empathy and deeper thinking.
Have you ever read the book Things Fall Apart?
Mm.
Have you read the book Things Fall Apart? That is one of the book I think every fiction writer should go and read. Yes, Things Fall Apart. You will never know what has happened in the past without a story. The Bible is not complete without a story.
History.
Yes, history is not complete without a storytelling. And I think the world today need more storytellers. Yeah, history is not complete without storytelling. Can you imagine a world without Things Fall Apart? Like, come on, you will never know what happened. Come on, Things Fall Apart is one of the book I'm recommending that every fiction or non-fiction writer should go and read. The book remains the best book or storytelling book in Africa up to date. So go get Things Fall Apart, and you're definitely gonna appreciate your your time to read the book. Okay, so how can writers apply storytelling in any genres?
By focusing
Okay,
on characters, conflict, and transformation, writers can bring life to any topic, memoir, business, self-help, or fiction.
so as a writer now, I can bring life in any topic. That is what
Yes.
it means. So if I decide to talk about Tom and Jerry, I'll bring life with the both name Tom and Jerry. If I decide to talk about John went to school, I'll bring life
Yes,
because
some people may not bring life.
yeah, yeah, that is actually what we need to talk about. I think we have a section to help you bring life in your book. And if you want to bring life in your book, comment below, bring life in my book, or just whatever I want to communicate. Just let us know that this is what you want to communicate. But I would love you to communicate, bring life in my book, so we can actually send you some materials to help you bring life in your book. So what key storytelling question
Mhm.
should writers ask?
Who is the main character or voice?
Okay,
What's their journey?
okay,
What challenges or growth do they experience?
okay.
These answers shapes the narrative.
So who is the main character or voice?
Yes,
Okay, what is their journey? What challenges or growth do they experience? These are questions that fiction writers should ask
yes.
before start writing a
That
book.
carries the whole body
The
of
whole
the
body of
yeah.
the because as a fiction writer, as a non-fiction writer, I believe that as a non-fiction writer and also a plotter, I believe that having your questions answered from the beginning of your book will define the ending of the book. plotting your book from the beginning. This is actually one of the things. And our next interview, we're going to be talking of finding your niche as a writer. This is actually one of the things that will stop a lot of people. They don't really know how to find the main character of the book. They don't really know what is their journey, like what are they trying to communicate in the book. One of the amazing students I have ever had, or I'm still having in the Light African Writing Academy, remains Auto Blessing. I think Auto Blessing has mastered the act of communicating to her main characters even before she started writing. She has mastered the act of finding the voice, finding everything. What is the book going to talk about? She sat like the last time we had a meeting with Auto Blessing, I think she was breaking down the next project she was going to write to me. She has already written the book because the way she was talking about the book was already concluded from the beginning to
Yeah.
the end. So we will not want to take much of our time because we have an interview coming up, the writer and the editor, and also finding your niche as a writer. So before we end up this section, I would love you to tell us the challenges you have been facing as a fiction writer, even as a non-fiction writer, down the comment section. I also love you to give us topic that you feel that we need to talk about to encourage a lot of writers out there in the world. And lastly, before we finish the interview today, I would like also writer to say a word to the audience.
I hope with these few things you have said, you have learned 1 or 2 points out of this, which can help you in your book writing.
Wow, wow. So me actually I've learned a lot of things. Yeah, learned a lot of things. Majorly how to find your main character before you start. Like I said before, this question, this number 10 question, what key storytelling questions should writers ask? This is something that a lot of people don't pay attention to. And actually, from this whole explanation by our prolific author, O.C. Writer, I have actually learned a lot of things. Thank you so much, O.C. Writer, for educating us of the importance of storytelling or the power of storytelling in book writing. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Do not forget to hit like and subscribe as we have you in our next interview.